Hi, here is your chart, and I'm going to read this in sort of a brief version just to tell you the basic principles. So the first thing we do is start off by looking at the lineage. And the lineage in shamanic astrology tells what you were already a master of. And we get this by looking at the south node and the moon position. So I'll just show you that here. There's the north node. Right across from that is the south node. So it's in the 6th house. And the moon is right here in Pisces with all this other stuff, which I'll kind of touch on briefly throughout this video, which will probably be about 30 minutes. So we would call this what you were already a master of. Like when you were born, these would have been things that when you started to have a character and personality, your parents would have noticed these things about you. We call this a Virgo job in the Pisces tribe. So the tribe is the moon. And this type of mastery that you would have come in with would be, Virgo is the priest, and Pisces is a sort of empathic, universally loving type of energy. So these are both in service to spirit through love and work. So Virgo is the work, Pisces is more of the loving energy. So this type of kid would have been naturally sensitive to energy, concerned with serving others. Service is a main key point for both Virgo and Pisces. Probably would have been a lot more geared toward, I guess you kind of told me all this stuff already, so if I didn't know you, it would, maybe be more surprising. But basically everything that you told me about yourself fits this particular Virgo job in the Pisces tribe. So also just being more concerned with other people, like how other people are feeling, is another thing that this would tell me. So that's your lineage, what you're already a master of. And then the next thing we talk about is what you're learning about. So the new school, or what you've signed up for in this lifetime to learn about. And we get that from the North Node, who's over here in the 12th house, and the rising sign. So that's right here. The AC stands for ascending. And you have that over here in Scorpio. And you have a really important conjunction with Uranus here, which I'll talk about that at some point. Maybe not in this reading, but so we call this the Pisces job in the Scorpio tribe. So the what's rising, or the ascendant, is the new school that you've signed up for. And this is where we make the most mistakes. So the most mistakes, my teacher calls this honest mistakes. It's like you're learning about this, about the Scorpio mysteries, and which is really interesting for a man because, it's interesting for anybody. Scorpio is one of the most intense of the mystery schools. So it's similar energy of Pluto and Chiron, who are all underworld. It's all underworld signs or energy. So intensity, passion, mystery, depth, and making mistakes here would look like getting drawn into power struggles, or sourcing energy from other people, or being a source of energy for other people, if that makes sense. So this would be like you being an energy vampire, or other people vampiring for your energy. That's a common mistake for people who are learning the Scorpio mysteries. Another thing is that in this school, you're learning how to master your own energy. and learning how to source energy from the original source, which is the earth, the sun, learning how to run energy through your own body. That's one of the expected outcomes of learning Scorpio as your main initiation in this lifetime, learning how to source energy, become a master of your own life force energy, and really being able to, learn about intensity. And one of the other things about this particular mystery school is, so we talk about relationship axis. Over here answers the question, who am I? And then across from here is the descendant, which answers the question, who are you? And so whenever we're asking about relationship, why on earth would I ever want to be in a relationship? This axis will answer that question. And for your particular learning about who am I and who are you, it is all about life force energy. The question that you would ask if you're in a relationship or thinking about being in a relationship, you would want that partnership to charge your batteries. So when you leave from an interaction with the person, you would want it to leave you feeling full and charged up, not depleted. And the other thing about this relationship axis is that it is super focused on sexual energy. So this is the path of the Tantrika, the path of Tantra. So Scorpio, most amount of intensity, passion, that it's a real raw energy. And then Taurus is the maximum amount of pleasure. So Taurus cares about, I want to feel the most amount of pleasure with no pain. Scorpio kind of likes pain. So this is it's one of the most power, intensity, and pleasure driven of the relationship axis. That's why they call it the path of Tantra. So that is what you're learning about in the Scorpio Mystery School. And with your North Node over here in the 12th house of Pisces, we call this the Pisces job in the Scorpio tribe. So with Scorpio as the rising, what you're learning about, Pisces would, so we call it the Scorpio tribe, and your specialty in this tribe is that of Pisces, who is universally loving and compassionate, caring about not just yourself or your immediate circle, but overall caring about the world or the universe, or this is why we call it universally loving. It's like not just focused on self, it's focused on the biggest amount of whatever you can imagine as the biggest, the cosmos even. Like it's encompassing all with love. So that covers old school, new school. I'm going over this fast, but I think you get the point, and you can ask me any question you want. So the next thing I'm going to cover is your inner masculine and your inner feminine. So when I talk about this, we get the picture of the yin-yang symbol. So within each, the yang being the male and the yin being the feminine, they each are containing a little bit of each other. So keeping that in mind as I talk about this, it's not to say that, we're pulling it apart to investigate and discover each of them, but it is one whole. So for the masculine, we look at Mars. For a man, Mars tells us the sword he carries, or the form of the god that he is representing. And I wrote an article about this, so I'll send you a link to that because it has a really good little meditation to do, and just good information about how to get in touch with your inner masculine and inner feminine. So for a man, You look at Mars, and Mars is up here in the sign of Cancer. So, oh wow, I forgot to tell you, you have also some really interesting geometries on here. The one that stood out right away is this water trine. So you have a grand water trine. Anytime there is a trine, it means that you have this sort of triangle on your chart. They're anchored in planets that are, so you've got it in water signs. So Mars is up here in Cancer, and then you have Uranus over here in Scorpio, and you have a bunch of stuff over here, but I think this particular one is going to the moon and Mercury in the sign of Pisces. So the grand trines are rare, number one. I have seen, this is my third water trine that I've seen, and I've seen one or two fires and one earth. And yeah, so it's rare. I've read over 100 charts, and just a handful have these special configurations, which basically tell a gift that you have. So it's like something that you are already, your mastery over a particular element. So it's special and unique. And I don't want to get sidetracked off of your Mars, but I kind of had to go there because of this this thing that's amazing and unusual. And so it's basically saying that you have a gift of water. So all that things that water is representing, so emotionality, intuition, being able to, your psychic abilities, empath, reflection, projection, everything that relates to water. So transmutation, not the same kind of transmutation as fire, but meaning that, like water can change shapes. As you pour it into different vessels, it changes shapes. So these are some of the gifts of water. And so anyway, Mars is in Cancer. And so I take the Mars and I combine it with what's rising, so doing alchemy. So I also wrote an article about this. You can read, there's a little meditation for doing alchemy to combine two things. So in this case, we're combining the energy of Cancer, who is the compassionate, loving father energy. So it doesn't necessarily mean the father of children. It can mean the father of your projects, your dog, your plants or things that you're growing. So Cancer is a good parent of whatever is young and growing. So it can be your own projects. Combine that with the energy of Scorpio, who is the edge walker, the risk taker, the moving energy, the most intense and passionate of all the signs. Combining those two together to get a good look at your inner masculine, the form of the God that you are representing. And then we take that and, hold that for yourself. That's your inner masculine. And then looking at your inner feminine, this is where you see what kind of women that you are most attracted to, the form of the goddess that you wish to connect with. And we look at Venus, who's over here with this little group in Pisces. And you look at what's descending on your chart and do the same thing. We're combining the two energies together to get your unique form of the feminine. So taking Pisces Venus, who is the form of the goddess, who is universally loving, compassionate, psychic, empathic. Pisces is looking at it from the feminine as your Venus, she's very beautiful. Like the Pisces beauty is, when you look at Kuan Yin or Mother Teresa, you might not see like Southern California beauty, but you will see the beauty that is divine, like raw, spiritual beauty. So combine that with Taurus, who is all about beauty also. Taurus is the sign of beauty, and Venus rules Taurus. So they're very similar energy. So this is the form of the feminine who is all about pleasure and luxury. So luxurious things, nice jewelry, clothing that feels good. Taurus is about beauty for the sake of beauty, not to impress anybody. It's like beauty for its own sake. So put those two together, combine them, mix them, and this is your inner feminine and what you are most attracted to in women. But the trick is to know that that's you. So that's your inner goddess, the queen of your heart, or the wife within that you carry with you at all times. So getting these two together in what is called the sacred marriage is the way of having completion within yourself and not needing to fill a void. You know, you might meet somebody who is a perfect, I mean, when I'm reading this, I'm like, oh my God, I can see why you might be, I can see who you would be interested in and attracted to. And what usually happens is that you will still be attracted to that person. You will still, it doesn't take away from your attraction to that energy. But what it does do when you have that sacred marriage is allow you to recognize your own beauty and your own Pisces Taurus configuration, like that energy, and own that for yourself. And, I've done this work myself, but every time I meet somebody, I still see, the things that I'm attracted to. And I know that they're me. And a lot of times, not a lot of times, actually, it's not, a lot of times, the person doesn't carry those traits for themselves, the things that I see that I like. But sometimes they do. And, who knows? It's a mystery. I have no idea. This is like uncharted territory for me. Okay, so that's your inner feminine, inner masculine. I've already covered the relationship axis, which, you put all that together to really see and learn about your relationship style, the things that you want, the things you don't want. And the other thing I will say is that when you're attracting these type of women, Pisces, Taurus type thing, you're attracted to these qualities at first month, 2 months, 3 months, and then eventually the shadow aspects will come out. So you start to see the shadow, and it could be a few years. I don't know, I'm saying a few months because it usually happens sooner for me that I'll notice the shadow material. And at that point, it's like your opportunity to use the power of water that you have to reflect and see those shadows for yourself. So you're noticing the shadow in the person, and this is where you get to take a chance and look it within, to see the reflection, whatever is showing up. Ask the question, how is this a part of me? Or where do I see myself reflected in, in this image that I see in my partner? So this can get really deep and juicy. Oh, and when I said juicy about you, I was just saying that the things that I was seeing as juicy were, number one, your relationship axis, which is the same relationship axis that I have. And seeing how much you have over here in Pisces, and also seeing this grand water trine after, our first kind of in-depth talk, and hearing everything that you were saying. The juicy thing that I was seeing is that you are super, super equipped, according to your chart, for dealing with, I will call you an empath and call you psychic. I would call you, all that kind of stuff, just because of how much water and the special grand water trine. That was the juice. So next thing I'm going to cover is the midheaven, which talks about your contribution to the world, the way that you would contribute. You have that in Leo, which says that whatever you're doing is going to be the center stage. You're going to be the lead role, the king. And you also have Saturn up there conjunct to the midheaven. So within 1 degree, this basically is saying that whatever you do for your contribution to the world, you are going to be the boss of it. So Saturn on the midheaven says that you will not be working for somebody. And if you are working for somebody, you're going to be the head man. You're going to be at the top. Because Saturn is what is giving structure. Saturn is the boss of the middle world. Saturn is where we get the rules from. And so you have that on the midheaven, which is telling me that this is your main teacher. The conjunction is something that gives energy to. So this is telling me that you're going to be the chief of, whatever it is that whatever way you're contributing to the world. So with Leo on the midheaven, you have Aquarius on the home and roots. So Aquarius on the home and roots project talks about what you need in your home. And you can call this, it's interesting, people have different ideas about home. I think of home, but I have Aquarius. It doesn't matter, but we have this opposite. So my home and roots is Leo, and your home and roots is Aquarius. So this is basically flipped around for us. Aquarius on the home and roots would say that you care most about having expanded consciousness, I want to say. Sorry, what I was going to say about the home and roots is that I consider home in the heart. So when I go to bed at night, the last thing I think about before I go to sleep, or the most important thing to me, and Leo answers that question for me. For you, it is Aquarius. So having expanded consciousness, having being in your light body, or being able to detach, or being able to, reach into, I didn't ask you about your dreams, or maybe we did talk about dreams a little bit. But Aquarius on the home and roots would tell me that either your home is sporadic, you like to move a lot, because Aquarius is not normal. It's not the same. It is very unique and different and changeable. So you can look at it from that perspective, or like what I was saying about within the heart at the end of the night, when you go to sleep at night, this would say that you would care to get out of your body. Or at the home, being out of body is a signature of Aquarius, having expanded states of consciousness, and being able to detach and see the big picture. So that's the home and roots. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. There's a ton of other things on here, but those are the main things that I wanted to cover. So inside the chart is your natal chart. This is a flash of the moment you were born. I'm just going to describe this quickly since I still have a few minutes. You can take this and put it above your head, and this is like the moment you were born. And the way that I look at this is like a flash, so like a snapshot of the moment you were born, and you are the walking embodiment of that snapshot. Then this is like I saw this in a meditation once as a dinner table, and each of these planets having their own archetype. So Pluto being the underworld, you can consider like Isis in the underworld, or the Egyptian, the goddess, her twin sister, who's the goddess of the underworld. You can take Uranus being like I can't really, I'm not getting the names right now, but I'm seeing the images. I'll say, so this is like outer space, or it even kind of looks like a Star Wars symbol. Neptune, as, you know, think of Neptune, Poseidon, something like that. So anyway, all the way around, Chiron, the wounded healer. You have Jupiter, who expands things. You have Mars, who is the sort of warrior, aggressive energy, all the way around the wheel. And then, you know, the way that these people, the archetypes or the energies are placed, you know, you can see that if Uranus is sitting right next to your main lesson in life, what you're learning about, how this would influence, and then he's at this certain square to your midheaven. You know, it's an exact square. Oh, that's not an exact square. That is actually a trine. You would see, you know, certain energies played out amongst this group of people or archetypes at a table. And the next thing is that out here I have the wheel of the sky at the moment. So you can also get a chance to see what kind of initiatory phases that you're in, any cycles that you're in. As you can see here, you're in a Pluto square cycle, which is one of the most intense times of life. So I'm going to really love to talk to you about that. I'm in the same cycle as you with that. So that should be fun. Also, you have Chiron going over your, I think it already went over Venus. I can pull out my ephemeris and look at the exact dates for you on that. But when Chiron goes over your Venus, it would say that you had a touch of an underworld initiation as it relates to your inner feminine. So it could have looked like a bad relationship with a woman, or just a dry spell in your life. Or I'm definitely going to ask you questions about that, because I recently went over Chiron because I have this same thing as you. I have Pisces Sun and Pisces Mars. So in this same block, I recently went through Pisces going over Chiron going over my stuff. And it's considered a dark night of the soul. It's considered an underworld journey that is meant to be give you back your power in whatever area it touches. So having it going over Venus would tell me that, you were getting back your power as it relates to your inner feminine. It's getting ready to go over Mercury, which will be interesting. So we can talk about that stuff. It's going that way. Actually, you know what? So this outer wheel turns this direction. It's turning that way. So So you went through Chiron going over your moon, your sun, and Mercury. It's just leaving Mercury, getting ready to go into Venus. Okay, so there's your chart. I'm going to stop there, and we can talk about this till the cows come home. Thanks for letting me read your chart. I hope you got something out of it. I sure did. So thanks. Talk to you soon.